Have you ever sat down to recalculate your pension, your housing bills, and healthcare in America, then suddenly sighed? I've worked my whole life, yet in retirement I still have to worry about every single dollar. In New York, $500 only covers a few days of rent. In Seattle, it disappears after just a few trips to the supermarket and coffee shops. But what if I told you that in some places around the world, $500 a month is not only enough to live on, but enough to live better than ever? I have found 5 countries where Americans are welcomed with a smile, with easy residency procedures, surprisingly cheap costs, reliable health care, and a daily life that feels like a long vacation. There, you don't need to be rich. You don't need to prove you are enough. You just need to be yourself and still be respected, still feel safe, still eat well, and sleep peacefully. Let's explore together. With exactly $500, where would you choose to live so that life suddenly feels lighter and many times happier? Dream it. Pack it. Go. 5. Mauritius. The tropical teacup island. Mauritius. Just the name itself evokes the image of a small, charming island in the middle of the Indian Ocean, like a tropical teacup accidentally placed down by God. For Americans used to a fast-paced lifestyle and bills piling up like mountains, Mauritius feels like an unexpected escape. Here, you can live simply with a total cost of $1,208,520 a month, still strolling through markets, sipping coffee, and even thinking about retirement in the true sense. Not paying off bills until the end of your life. Imagine this. Instead of a cramped apartment in New York that costs $2,000, you could rent a small place in the suburbs of Port Louis or Quatre Bornes for only $250 a month. A balcony facing the sea, a bamboo hammock swaying, the breeze carrying both the scent of salt water and ripe mangoes. You head down to the local market, buying vegetables, fresh fish, and tropical fruit, all for just $150 for the entire month. Fast, stable internet costs less than $20. Taking the bus around the island is only a few bucks, so cheap you'll feel like you've been given an all-inclusive pass to the whole island. If you spend wisely, your total monthly budget will hover around $500, an amount you could easily burn through in just a few restaurant meals back in the US. But cheap living costs aren't the only thing that makes Mauritius appealing. For Americans, even more important are stability, safety, and clear residency policies. If you just want to test the waters for a few months, a U.S. passport allows you to stay up to 180 days a year without the hassle of a visa. If you want to settle down for the long haul, Mauritius keeps its doors wide open. The retirement visa for those over 50 requires only proof of a minimum income of $1,500 per month, a level many Americans already receive from pensions or Social Security. And once granted, this permit is valid for up to 10 years, giving you plenty of time to feel at home. If you're still working remotely, you can opt for the premium visa, renewable annually, designed for those with online jobs. When it comes to taxes, Mauritius applies an extremely friendly system. Income from the U.S. that you leave in your overseas account isn't taxed at all. Only when you transfer money into a Mauritian bank does taxation apply, and even then, the rates are lenient, usually under 20%. This means you can live on your pension or online earnings without bearing the burden of double taxation, a privilege not many countries in the world extend to foreigners. What about healthcare? Locals receive free care in the public system, but like in many places, public hospitals can be crowded with long waiting times. Americans who settle here usually choose private hospitals, where costs are quite easy to swallow. A consultation only runs a few dozen dollars, with full access to medication and friendly service. And if you need more complex procedures, just a short flight to Reunion, a French territory, gives you immediate access to European healthcare. Add an international health insurance package, and you'll feel much more secure. Safety in Mauritius is also a big plus. This is not a place where you have to worry about violence or political instability. The U.S. travel advisory is at only the basic level, meaning you can simply enjoy yourself. Petty crimes like pickpocketing at beaches or crowded markets do exist, but are rarely serious. Compared to many other destinations, Mauritius can truly be called a safety paradise. And above all, the heart of this island is its people. Mauritian society is a unique blend of Creole, Indian, Chinese, and French communities, all living together in a multicultural harmony that still keeps a gentle smile. People will greet you in English, switch to French, and occasionally slip in a witty Creole phrase. They're not curious about how much money you make or what job you do. They only want you to have another dole puri, drink another glass of vanilla tea, and share stories about your hometown. For Americans used to being judged by profession or income, that comfort feels like a refreshing breeze. Mauritian cuisine is a whole tropical symphony. It's the fiery Indian curries, the fragrant French baguettes, the Chinese dim sum, and the rustic yet vibrant Creole dishes. Take a bite of rougail, tomato stew with sausages, and you'll taste the sun, the wind, and the long history of this island. Dessert? Try ripe mangoes, sweet pineapples, or a glass of refreshing sugarcane juice, and you'll wonder why you ever paid $6 for an industrial smoothie in Seattle. Mauritius is not a perfect paradise. Paperwork can sometimes be slow, roads may be narrow, and you'll need to learn a few Creole words to blend in more easily. But compared to $1,000 medical bills in the U.S., or the stressful workload where you used to live, these little inconveniences feel no heavier than a passing mosquito. In return, you gain a friendly society, reasonable costs, safety, a pleasant climate, and the feeling that every morning you wake up is a holiday. For many Americans, retirement means sitting at home watching TV, sometimes worrying about medication or electricity bills. But in Mauritius, John, a retired American uncle who once struggled to pay rent in New York, now spends only $250 for a small apartment facing the sea. He wakes up early, walks to the village market, and buys fresh fish and a bag of mangoes for just a few bucks. On his way back, a Creole grandmother next door offers him a hot cup of tea and asks, "Do you miss home?" John smiles, pointing toward the turquoise sea in front of him. "This is my home now. And what about you? If tomorrow you had the chance to grab your suitcase, leave behind America's endless bills and rush, would you dare to choose a tiny tropical island where smiles come as easily as the sunshine and peace costs less than a cup of Starbucks coffee? Picture yourself sitting by the shores of Mauritius, listening to the waves, sipping vanilla tea, and asking yourself, why didn't I come sooner? If your heart is beating faster, don't just stop at imagining. Leave me a comment below. I'm ready. Who knows, the next flight might take you to a paradise called Mauritius, where retirement is not an ending, but the beginning of a new chapter, sweeter and more carefree than ever. The 4, North Macedonia, Europe's forgotten novel. A place where mornings begin with church bells echoing from old tiled roofs, and afternoons end with a fiery red sunset reflecting on the lake like an oil painting. If your answer is no, then perhaps you've never set foot in North Macedonia, the hidden gem of the Balkans, the forgotten novel waiting for you to open its first page again. In America, $500 only covers a week's rent for a cramped apartment, a few grocery bags, and a phone bill. But in Ohrid, the ancient lakeside city of North Macedonia, a total cost of $420–470 USD month can sustain a peaceful life. $200 for a one-bedroom apartment overlooking the sparkling lake, another $80 for vegetables, tavche gravche bean stew, and fresh bread from the morning market. Then $20 more to hop on buses winding through cobblestone streets. Internet? $15 a month, enough to video call your grandkids in Florida and show off sunsets no Instagram filter could ever match. And then the question arises again. Is there a place in Europe where residency procedures aren't complicated, where you're not forced to buy $1 million villa or lock away your fortune in a bank? In North Macedonia, the answer is yes. Americans can stay 90 days without a visa. If you want something longer, simply prove steady income from a pension or remote work, rent a place, file a straightforward application, and you can obtain a temporary residence permit. After 5 years, the door to permanent residency opens, without the exhausting hoops you face in many other countries. And what about taxes? Residents in North Macedonia pay a flat tax rate of 10%, so low that many Americans think they've misheard. Compared to the 22%, 35% tax brackets in the US, it feels like trading a heavy weight for a featherlight backpack. And healthcare? Many hesitate, assuming a small, lesser-known country like North Macedonia would lack services. But the truth is, the public system ensures basic needs for residents, while private hospitals like Acibadem Sistina in Skopje are ready to serve at just a fraction of US costs. A specialist consultation runs about $20–30. In America, you might spend that much before you even park your car. But what moves people most isn't the numbers. It's sincerity. As you wander through Ohrid's old town, locals don't ask you, "What's your job?" or "How much money do you make?" They simply smile, give directions, and sometimes slip you an apple from their garden. English is spoken well enough that you won't feel lost, and smiles, the universal language, are always ready. North Macedonian cuisine is another flavorful chapter. From the rich baked beans of tavche gravche, to the smoky aroma of ajvar peppers, to the bold taste of vranek wine. Here, an outdoor dinner in the town square costs only a few dollars, yet the feeling is priceless. The sound of mandolins echoing, children running around the monuments, and you sipping wine with a heart that feels light. And yet, perhaps the most important question North Macedonia forces you to face is this. Do you truly need expensive luxuries to feel happy? Or do you just need a place peaceful enough to be yourself? In a country where lakes are as calm as mirrors, where green mountains embrace the villages, where people still greet each other in the streets, $500 is more than a number. It's proof that life can be simple, yet complete. And sometimes, within that simplicity, you rediscover the happiness you had forgotten. And what about you? If tomorrow you could close the old novel called America, filled with pages of bills and worries, would you dare to turn to a new chapter in North Macedonia, where every day begins like a line of poetry, and you are the main character in your own life story? If you also feel North Macedonia is truly worth dreaming about, don't forget to hit like to support, subscribe to the channel so you won't miss the next journeys, and leave a comment to share. If you had $500 a month, where would you choose to live? I would love to hear your answer. 3. Vietnam, the symphony of flavors. Do you believe there's a country with long, sandy beaches, majestic mountains, vibrant cities, and peaceful countryside, yet still allows you to live comfortably on just $500 a month? That's Vietnam. A place where Americans are welcomed not only with a smile, but also with a steaming bowl of pho in the morning for only $1. From historic Hanoi and bustling Saigon, to the blue seas of Da Nang or the ancient streets of Hoi An, Vietnam is a symphony of flavors, culture, and warmth that makes many Americans never want to leave once they arrive. The cost of living here is so low it almost feels unreal. Total cost: 400-500 USD month. You live fully, with enough left over to take a cooking class on fried spring rolls or enjoy a unique egg coffee you can't find anywhere else. Renting a one-bedroom apartment in Da Nang or Nha Trang starts at only $250, leaving you plenty to dine out at local eateries, where a full meal costs just $1 to $2. Utilities like electricity, water, and internet run about $40-60. A motorbike rental is $10, plus a few more for gas, and suddenly the whole of central Vietnam is yours to explore. But what makes Vietnam stand out is not just the cost. For Americans who want to stay longer, the government has expanded the 90-day e-visa with multiple entries. A major step forward that makes test living easier. While there's no specific retirement visa yet, many choose to stay long-term through work, investment, or family visas. And if you're not ready to settle, just a few extensions of a tourist visa still let you enjoy life here for many months at a time. Taxes in Vietnam are also something to keep in mind. If you stay short-term as a tourist, no problem. But if you become a tax resident over 183 days per year, you must declare global income, with tax rates ranging from 5% to 35%. Even so, many Americans living on pensions still find this reasonable compared to the benefits they receive. Extremely low healthcare costs, fresh food, and readily available household services. Healthcare in Vietnam is a mix of an extensive public network and high-quality international private hospitals. For just a few dozen dollars, you can visit international clinics such as Vinmec, FV, or HCMC International, where doctors speak English and the service rivals that of the U.S. medicine is cheap and easy to buy, and international insurance gives you peace of mind. Foreigners often remark, a doctor's visit in Vietnam costs less than a copay in the U.S. More importantly, Vietnam is a safe country. Petty theft can happen in big cities, but violence is rare. You can walk home after a late dinner and still feel secure, something that has become a luxury in many U.S. cities. Above all, the friendliness of the people makes you feel you're not a stranger. From the po vendor at the corner, the cyclo driver, to the neighbor who brings you a jar of pickled vegetables, all create a sense of belonging that is hard to find elsewhere. Cuisine is the soul of Vietnam. Just a morning bowl of pho, a lunchtime plate of com tam, or an evening serving of bun cha will make you feel like you're living in a paradise of flavors. Strong drip coffee, crispy banh mi stuffed with grilled meat, fresh seafood from central Vietnam, all come at prices so low they make you laugh. And you know what? It's that very simplicity that makes life richer. So the question isn't, can I live in Vietnam on $500? But rather, am I ready to give up the massive bills and constant rush in America to live a lighter, warmer, and more flavorful life here? If the answer in your heart is yes, then don't hesitate. Hit like, leave a comment sharing which Vietnamese city you'd choose to begin with, and remember to subscribe to the channel for the next journeys. Who knows, that very first $1 PHO in Hanoi might be the beginning of your brand new chapter in life. 2. Albania. The untouched Balkan muse. Have you ever thought that in Europe, right on the Mediterranean coast? Not in Paris, where the price of a coffee equals a whole meal, nor in Rome, where rent alone can make your head spin. It's Albania. The untouched Balkan muse, stunningly beautiful, peaceful, and hospitable to the point where you have to ask yourself, why hasn't the whole world rushed here yet? In Albania, Americans practically hold a golden ticket. You are allowed to stay for 1 year without a visa. Yes, you heard that right. A full year to test out life in Europe without worrying about complicated paperwork. And if you want to stay longer, the country offers a retirement visa. You only need to prove a stable pension of around $1,150 per month, plus health insurance and housing. After 5 years of continuous residence, you can even apply for long-term permanent residency, opening the door to truly settling down in Europe. What surprises many people, however, is that the cost of living here is unbelievably low. $460 to $520 USD month. A one-bedroom apartment in the coastal city of Durrës or the mountain region of Shkodër costs only about $200–300 a month. Food is abundant and diverse. A crispy byrek stuffed with greens for just a few cents, or a full lunch with grilled meat, rice, vegetables, and local wine for only $3 to $5. Utilities like electricity, water, and internet total around $50–70. Public transportation is dirt cheap, and taxis are easily negotiable. Healthcare in Albania is a mixed picture. Public hospitals are still under-resourced, crowded, and sometimes slow. But private hospitals, especially in the capital Tirana, are modern, reasonably priced, and provide good service. A full checkup at the American Hospital Tirana costs only a few dozen dollars, an amount that would shock you compared to U.S. medical bills. That's why many expats choose to buy private or international health insurance, so they can feel secure while receiving care in the best facilities. What makes Albania the true untouched muse is its people. The locals are so hospitable, they might invite you into their home for a meal after just a few minutes of conversation. In small cafes, you'll find young people chatting in English and Italian. In the countryside, the elderly greet you with a smile, the kind of language that needs no translation. For Americans, often worried about being judged or disliked, Albania offers a strangely familiar feeling, almost like coming home. Albanian cuisine is its own love song. Fragrant byrek, creamy tave kosi, lamb baked with yogurt, kofte grilled over hot coals, sweet red wines from the valleys. All of it is cheap, delicious, and full of sincerity. Sit at a seaside cafe in Vlora, enjoy freshly caught seafood, and you'll realize you don't need any fancy restaurant at all. But the biggest question Albania asks you is this: do you dare to choose a simpler, less expensive life in exchange for freedom and the feeling of being welcomed like family? In a world where many countries build visa walls, Albania opens its doors, invites you to stay a full year, smiles, and says, "Stay here," like an old friend. If your heart has already started to stir, don't just read and move on. Hit like, leave a comment about the city you'd most like to visit in Albania. Who knows? This Balkan muse might just be the new chapter in your life. 1. Costa Rica. The Song of Pura Vida. In the US, $500 only covers a few bills, but in Costa Rica, it can sustain an entire month of easy living. Imagine renting a small red-tiled house surrounded by mango and banana trees for just $250–300, shopping at local markets full of vegetables, fresh fish, and fruit for only $100–150, and taking the bus for 0.50 cents a ride. Altogether, you can live well on about $500 per month, with enough left over to enjoy a cup of Costa Rican coffee rich with the taste of sun and wind. Americans here also have the chance to settle down easily. The Pensionado retirement visa requires only proof of a $1,000 monthly pension, and after 3 years, you can apply for permanent residency. The digital nomad visa requires $3,000 a month, allowing you to stay for 1 year with the option to extend another. Best of all, Costa Rica taxes only income earned within the country. Your U.S. income stays untouched. The Kaja healthcare system allows residents to contribute 11% of their income and receive full care. Private hospitals are modern, yet still far cheaper than in the U.S. A doctor's visit runs just $50–70. Many foreigners combine this with international insurance for extra peace of mind. Costa Rica is safe. Though big cities have petty theft, smaller towns remain peaceful. The Tico people are friendly, and their greeting, Pura Vida, is more than words. It's a whole philosophy of life: gratitude, simplicity, and enjoying the present. The cuisine is simple yet captivating. Casado with rice, beans, meat, and vegetables for just $3. Gallo pinto for breakfast. Fresh fish ceviche by the sea. All so cheap and delicious, it's almost unbelievable. The only question left is, do you dare to step away from America's expensive grind to live a life of pura vida? If your answer is yes, hit like. Leave a comment about the beach where you'd love to begin. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the journey to paradise for just $500. 5 countries, 5 different paths: tranquil Emerald Mauritius, historic North Macedonia, hospitable Albania, Costa Rica overflowing with pura vida, and Vietnam bursting with flavors. Yet they all share one truth. In the U.S., $500 only buys you a few ordinary days. But here, it can buy you an entire month of a dream life. Life doesn't wait. Will you let retirement slip away in bills and pressure, or dare to open the door to a new journey, where you are truly welcomed, where you can slow down and savor every single day? If you too long for a $500 paradise, hit like, leave a comment about the place you would choose, and don't forget to subscribe. Because who knows, the next flight might just be the ticket to your brand new life.